Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this second part of my Entity Framework tutorial. In the first part, as you remember, we created a simple app to access database and carry out CRUD operations. In the second part of the tutorial, I will now show you how to use inheritance to change a connection string for a given connection to an Entity Framework model. So what you need to do is select your project, right click, go to add, then go to classes, choose class, and we'll call it DB interface. Let me grab something quickly, and that is that inherits from the Entity Framework model. Import system.data. Whoops. Client, right. Now we have got this far, we need to set it up so when the object is instantiated, we can pass a connection string to it. Public sub new. String. No, I don't need that, sorry. Connection string. Right, I've put in a try catch here, so basically if it attempts to open it and it fails, then it will just display a message saying cannot open. We'll just put an error. That basically just tests the connection string. And then we basically pass the connection string into the entity framework object there. So that's literally all we need to do for the class. So we can close that down now, yes. And here we'll just remove that a second. So we do dim test dbef as new what we need to do is we need to build the connection string at this point for that object. So what we need to do is, give me 1 second while I just find the code on my tablet. Entity into SQL client module 1. Give me 1 second. So I just need to quickly check something. Right, so we now need to do dim SQL server as a string, which equals that. Dim db as a string, which equals that. Dim user ID as a string, which equals that. And dim as a string, which equals that. We'll just modify this a second, so it's that. I've always been told off by other developers, and I know it's not good practice to do this, but what we'll do is we'll basically, when we create the object, we'll set a flag. So doing one-line end ifs like this is not a good idea. I've been told off before for it by the head developer where I used to work. Right, so what we need to do now is we need to set up the relevant variables for to connect to the SQL server. So we'll, obviously these are credentials to connect to my local SQL server. So we will go dump then all you should need to do after right, I forgot to do one thing. now we've added that, we can use the SQL string builder. So give me 1 second. So we say SQL string, okay, data. And then we basically have to then do the following. So we say testdb, which is there. Then we say testdb equals new. Then we say SQL string dot connection string. What we'll do now is we'll add an extra button on here to basically, we'll just move this down a bit. We'll add an extra button on here which we will call OpenDB btn OpenDB, and when that's called, it'll fire the new DB connection routine we've just added. One thing I will do is, actually no, come to think of it, no, I'll run it as it is and we'll see what happens. If I've got any of these credentials wrong, it should just bomb out. If not, then we can just hit add record and we'll basically, that's the database as it stands currently, which you can see is blank. I've deleted all the records out of it. So as long as this connects okay, we'll just put a message box dot show connected okay. As long as we get that message box, we know it's connected okay, and then we'll just add a record. So click start. Boom, 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 boom. It's just compiling. Build started. So obviously, as you can see, there's the app. So if we hit OpenDB, right, not sure why we got that one. So if we hit add and we go to there, no, there's been a problem somewhere. Right. The underlying provider failed to open. Right, not sure what's going on. Let's have a look. Let's go back into that interface. I'll get rid of all that junk there. Actually, no, what I'll do is I'll put a stop in there and we'll see what the connection string actually comes out at. Copy, close, run, notepad. So that's the connection string I've just built, and we'll see what the connection string actually is, what's inside the entity, inside the EDMX. If I can remember how to get to. There's a way I can actually get to the connection string. What's inside this thing? Is it in the metadata? I can remember where it is. Give me a second. Ah, yeah. Right, okay. Copy that. Let's have a look, see what's going on with this connection string. You can learn by my mistakes. Test. Deep integrated security. Don't think I need that. Okay, what we'll do is we'll take out the user details. Okay, what we'll do is if we go back into this, we'll take out the user details. Let's make sure I've got I'll just replace a couple of things out of the working connection string, which I know works. We'll set this up identical to what the working connection string actually is. So we'll just set it, as I say, we'll just set it to this to start with, and then we'll have a look at changing the connect. Then we'll get this, make sure this works this way, and then we'll change the connection string so that it works the other way. So that's the connection string as it looks at the moment. So we'll save that. We'll build this. Build succeeded. We'll run it. So we'll click on OpenDB. Connected OK this time, so we'll hit add. Record added. So if we go into SQL Server this time, we execute that, we can see we've added a record. As I said, not quite sure last time why it failed. So what we'll do is we'll get unable to, and then we'll also message box dot show ex.toString. So as you can see, you can create a connection string in CRUD. So what we'll do is we will put the username and the password back up here. We'll run it and we'll see what happens this time. So we'll go to OpenDB this time. Unable to open connection string. Let's log on, fail for user SA. I've got the password set wrong. So, okay. Shouldn't really have that text box there. That's a bit of a misdemeanor. What could I set the SA password as? Try that. And it'll be something. So we do open database. Log on fail for user SA. Okay. Something slightly different. So what I made a slight amendment to the code, as in I've changed it now so that it says message box connection OK. So if we go back and look at the original code, obviously you can see I've disabled the stuff to do with Entity Framework. I've literally now changed it to point to use the credentials for my local SQL server. So if we click on Start Now, we open DB, we get a message saying connected OK. So if we go into the SQL database, we edit top 200 rows, we delete that record there. Obviously if we run a select on there, you can see there's nothing there. So if I go to add record, it says record added. So if we go back into here, we click that, as you can see it works. So if, for instance, I changed this to point to SQL Express 2014 and run the program, we will find that it fails this time. So if you click on OpenDB, it will sit here for a couple of seconds thinking about it. Give it about 30 seconds to a minute. You get unable to open connection string. Obviously we have the full stack trace displayed, and as you can see, that SQL server isn't it can't find that SQL server because that's something I've just made up. But that is the basic premise on how to change to use Entity Framework to basically modify using inheritance and creating a database interface that inherits the base entity. That's how you can go about changing your connection string. You don't need to bother putting all that junk in there. I just added that as a secondary check to make sure that the connection string worked. All you should really need to do is do database.connection.connection string, and then that equals your connection string value. As I said, you don't need to put that in. That was just a bit of ADO.NET I also added to make sure the connection string was valid before passing it across the entity data model. Yeah, I think that's about it. As I said, this can also be modified to use local DB as well. That's fairly simple. I'm not going to cover that in any tutorials. If you want to find out how to use local DB, put it in the comments down below and I will create a tutorial on how to do that. As I said, sorry about the stops and starts in this tutorial. I've been back at work a week, and obviously this YouTube channel at the moment is just my hobby, so feeling a bit worse for wear today for one reason and another. But as I said, if you want to know how to use local DB, put it in the comments below and I will get around to doing a tutorial with it. to show you how to modify this to use local DB instead of direct connection to SQL. But as I said, let me know if you want that. Any other tutorials you want on VB, also leave in the comments below, and I will adhere to get a tutorial put together for it. As I said, at the moment, this channel is more of a hobby than anything else. So, again, thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, leave any comments down below. Thank you.